Texas Math Mundo audience, are we in store for a treat today? In the house, we have Mr. Roumaldo Guerrero, the coach of the Perennial Powerhouse La Feria Lions science team down in the valley. He has coached 4 state championship teams and many state finalist teams and has a wealth of knowledge and experience to share with us. Mr. Roumaldo Guerrero, La Feria Lion science team, right ahead. Let me take a quick moment and ask that if you enjoy this content, could you please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, that you leave a comment below, and that you smash that like button. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and let's spread this joy, let's spread this beauty to as many people as possible. Mr. Roumaldo Guerrero, La Feria Lions science team, Perennial Powerhouses, right ahead. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is the Texas Math Mundo. Texas Math Mundo audience, are we in store for a treat today? In the house, legendary coach of the Perennial Powerhouse La Feria science team, 4-time state champions, many times state finalists. In the house, Mr. Roumaldo Guerrero. Welcome, Mr. Guerrero.
Hello, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to say hi and maybe do a little chat with you guys.
Oh, I look forward to this. You know, I do a results show, and I found myself always mentioning La Feria science team. La Feria, I'm like, who's the coach down there? I know they have a coach because every time I do the results show, I'm saying La Feria science team. So I'm so happy to have you on board and for you to share your perspective with us.
Well, I'm blessed to be here, and thank you for the invite.
Great. So let's start off just by asking, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm living the life. I have a dream job that I've been doing for quite a while now, and I have a wonderful family, everything I could have ever prayed for. God has granted me, and I'm doing great.
Awesome. Before we get deep into UIL, and we're certainly going to get deep into it, I want to just ask, when not engaged in work, what are your hobbies and interests?
Well, to be honest with you, there isn't much time that I'm not engaged with work, but that's just because I enjoy it so much. I guess you could say that working with the UIL kids and teaching my AP courses, or my AP course, chemistry course, is pretty much my hobby. But when I do manage to sneak out a little private time, I like to get outdoors. I like to do a little fishing. Here in the valley, the fishing is fantastic. Saltwater fishing here is a big deal. And it's a lot of fun, and it clears my head a little.
Do you cook them, clean them, and eat them?
I sure do.
All right.
I've owned 2 boats, and I used to take them out, and they say the happiest day of owning a boat is when you buy it, but you're even happier when you sell it because they do take a lot of time.
I've heard that.
So
Hey, do me a favor.
yes,
Describe the
sir.
Feria High School, the demographics and everything. Can you describe the school for me?
Well, we're a town of about 5 or 6 thousand, and the high school has an enrollment of just under 1,000. Lately, with a lot of new schools opening up, like charter schools and idea schools near us, they recruit some of our kids. And so we were at about over 1,000, but now we're around 900 or so. So we've been in the same class since I started there a long time ago, and it's just a really charming little town. Very few people stop there. We're on the expressway in the Rio Grande Valley, but uh, we're just kind of a quiet little town nestled between Mercedes and Harlingen.
Okay, okay, great, great. All right, so how's the Valley scene this year?
I'm sorry.
How's the Valley scene competitively?
In science,
Yes.
well, in science, we have some really great teams, uh, but most of those are in larger classes. In 4A, I wouldn't say we're very competitive, at least my competition. There isn't much science competition in 4A. Last year, we got a pretty good little jolt from Mission Collegiate because they were in 4A, but I think because of enrollment this year, they went down to 3A. And they surprised us last year at district, and they took a medal away from us that we're not used to. We're not used to that, not at district anyway. But for I would say in 5A, I would say the premier team would be the Science Academy. I think they're really starting to turn their numbers up, and I guess they're working at it or something. But they're really tough. Science Academy would be really good. Sherryland High School is really good in science also. Their coaches are really talented coaches, and their kids are super motivated. So I would say Science Academy and Sherryland are probably the premier. The 5A schools here are uh, probably a little bit above the 6As.
So are you predicting a state appearance for La Feria again this year?
I don't make any predictions. I saw the numbers compiled from what's that website? The fellow that does the compilations from UIL,
Yeah, the
and he
virtual
ranked.
challenge?
Yeah, the virtual challenge, Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Chuck's compilations, and then I thought, well, there's still a lot of time left. It's too early to make any predictions, but we're going to work. I will tell you, the one thing I will tell you is we're going to work. Whether we get there or not, we'll see.
And that's what you can control, how hard you work.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. From a state perspective, who looks like a really big rival?
Well, in fact, in our region right now, I think Needville actually came up with a really surprising score out of District 26 or 25. I think they're 25. And they actually beat us in our own region. So I would say Needville and the other team escapes me. I wrote it down somewhere. Probably I'd just be happy to get out of region.
Hey, Needville's way up here by Houston. They're in Region 4.
Yeah, they're with us.
Wow, wow.
They're with us. But I'm trying to remember the name of the other school. I just can't. I think I'm a little nervous.
No problem, no problem, no problem. They'll pop up. Let's go. We are going to talk more about competition, but I want to know a little bit about you. Who's this guy that makes this fantastic? So here's the question. Where are you from, born and raised, and what's your cultural heritage?
Well, I was born in a town named Rio Bravo, Tamaulipas, in Mexico. And when I was a little kid, about 4 or 5 or so, my father came to the United States, brought us all with him, and he just went to work. He would go work wherever there was work. That's where he went. and he took his 6 kids with him. So we grew up all over the United States.
Wow.
I went to school in California. I went to school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin a couple of times. Dad would get work in Dallas. So we would move a lot.
Okay.
So I went to a lot of different schools, but it wasn't until 7th grade that my dad finally settled down in a little town called Progreso, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've been there.
Yeah, so from 7th grade on up, we lived in Progreso, and I graduated from Progreso High School. I'm a mighty red ant, proud to be a red ant, Las Hormigas, and that's where I actually began UIL. I had a sponsor. His name is Esteban Salinas. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mr. Salinas from Progreso, but he was really into mathematics and number sense and all of that. And he got me started with UIL. But then I got more interested into the sciences, I guess, because I had a fantastic high school science teacher, Mr. Raymond Olage, who really really made science interesting for me. And so I was doing both math and the science. I had Mr. Salinas and Mr. Olage helping me out.
Okay.
And
so this is as a student. So you were involved as a student.
yes, I competed in high school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I remember going to the meets with Mr. Salinas, and he was good friends with Mr. Leo Ramirez. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yes, the Wizards of McAllen, the Mackay Wizards.
Yeah, we used to go to the Mackay tournament every year, and they were really good friends, and they were kind of like me with my peers. Now I have a lot of friends in the circle, and that's who they were, and I got to meet those guys. That was my high school. Then I decided to leave the Valley. I went to Angelo State University in San Angelo, and I didn't know what I was going to major in. It was my sophomore year, and I had to pick something because I had already taken all my freshman courses, and I thought, I really don't want to do anything that they offer here. The only thing that I really like is science and chemistry, and so I just decided to get my BS in chemistry, and then I got my teacher certification with it before I graduated, and there, lo and behold, I'm a chemistry teacher.
Wow.
And I was my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife of 28 years.
Wow.
She still needed another semester or two to graduate. Once I was done, so I decided to stay around West Texas for a while, and I taught at Midland High School, and I taught science there, and it was a totally different culture out there than what I was used to. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot from some really good teachers for my year and a half at Midland. I took a job as a chemical engineer for a petrochemical company for a year after that. I missed teaching, and I just gotten married, and I decided I wanted to go back to the classroom. And my wife and I decided to both get jobs here in the Valley if we could, seeing how there was a lot of schools down here. And the only school that ever called me back out of about a dozen or so applications was La Feria.
Really?
And so that's how I came back to the RGV.
Wow. And how fortunate were they, man? That's great, because many years later, it worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah, well, everything happens for a reason. I firmly believe that, and you just got to put your faith, and things will work out if you just keep working. But yeah, when I got back to La Feria, or when I started in La Feria, I was supposed to teach IPC all day long, and I was fine with it. I was okay. Well, it turns out that summer their chemistry teacher left, so the principals called me in. They said, "Would you like to teach chemistry instead?" And I said, "Chemistry? Would I? I think I would. Wow. Heck yeah, I'll take it." And then they said, "Well, she was the UIL coach. Would you like to coach the UIL science team?" And I said, would I? Well, heck yeah, I'll do it. I'll give it a shot. I remembered how much I enjoyed it. So there I was. And that's how I got started. A few years later, they said, well, Mr. Guerrero, would you like to start an AP chemistry program?
Right.
I said,
Yeah.
would I? Every time it was the same answer. I can't believe that these opportunities keep coming. And they said, well, to teach AP chemistry, we think maybe you should also teach pre-AP chemistry. And I said, okay, I'm in. And I think that that's what really made a big difference with my program and with what I do is that I was able to teach those advanced courses because in science it's so different than it is for maybe say number sense or calculator. Those contests are so specialized, and so it's not very content driven from what you learn in class. Whereas the science is really curriculum based,
Yes,
and having those courses in the school, the advanced courses, makes a big difference for the kids in science compared to maybe some of the other math events. So that helped out a lot.
So, what was the state of the UIL teams there when you encountered them? And did you grow them under you? Like, was there already a good team there when you got there, or did you really create it?
There was nothing there.
That's what I figured.
There was nothing there. It was just all this time. I'm a one man show. I do everything myself. I've had to learn biology. I've relearned the chemistry. I've had to learn physics. I dabble in I have to dabble in all three. So, the great thing about being the only person is I get to make the decisions, and I get to do things my way. And I guess that's what I like about it. I don't have to check with anyone about should I do this? Do you think this is whatever? I just do what I need to do. What I feel is the right thing to do. And then it's just hard work. It's me and the kids spending a lot of time trying to figure out endless problems. How is this one solved? How do we do this one? How do we do this one? And trying to, how it goes.
So you've really molded them into a perennial powerhouse science team. Did it take a while to get it to that level?
Well, yes, it did. For a long time, we couldn't get out of region. There was a really strong team out of Wimberley High School in our class, and we just could not beat those guys. Wimberley had one of the greatest science coaches I've ever met. His name was Dr. Ron Richards. Wonderful man. And we were always trying to beat those guys. We could never beat those guys. And it took about 8 years or so for us to finally get over the hump and finally get a team to state because they were just that good.
So have you had any favorite teams over the years or any favorite individuals throughout the years?
They're all favorites. You don't want to put one over the other, but I would say probably one of the most memorable moments was the first year one student individually made it to state in 1999. One student made it, and that was the first time we had ever been to state. Everything was so new. UT was so big. Everything was like just kind of. We were just like, what is it? A small town, small mouse. What is that?
Country mouse or
country mouse in the city.
city.
Yeah. It was just really. We were really impressed. But then, I just told my student. His name was Cody. I said, Cody, just go in there and have fun. Whatever. We're here. We're having fun. And then. We wait. And Dr. Richards, who was my competitor from Wimberley, he was there too. He comes out and he's like, hey, guess what? I said, what? He says, congratulations, your kid got first.
Oh, the individual champion.
Yeah.
What was his name?
And Cody Moore.
Okay, wow.
And I was just dumbfounded. My jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe. I was like, "What do you mean we won?" He says, "Yeah, your kid won. Congratulations!" And blah blah blah. And Oh my God, we just we had a great time with that. And I would say Cody's first upset championship was pretty memorable.
That makes the drive back home so much more pleasant.
Yes, and you know, and I learned a lot about Dr. Richards too. That he would be the first to congratulate me. Really meant a lot to me, and it told me a lot about what kind of person he was. So yeah, that was really neat.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, you know those championship plaques they give you? Are they prominently displayed around the school?
Well, I actually have them in my classroom, right above my board. They put up a shelf for me, and I just put them up there and let the kids look at them. I don't know. I think that if I put them there, the students might dream of aspiring to get one themselves.
Yes.
So
Do you think they motivate them a little bit?
I do I what?
Do you think that those plaques motivate them a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think they do. At the front of the room, I have I have the state plaques. Then on one side of the room, I have a long bench, and there I have the regional plaques. And then on the other side of the room, I have the district plaques. And for district, other than COVID, that would be we've won district every year for like 26 years.
Holy cow! 26 years district championships. That's
And
incredible.
out of those, we actually had a record going of never giving up a top three place at district until last year.
Really, when Mission Collegiate cracked it. Wow, wow.
Yeah, that's that's why we remember that kid deserved it. He was really really good, but we were always used to coming in at least one, two, three at district for well ever since I've been there. So
Wow, 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 wow. Cool. So is that a individual state champion? Is that your favorite UIL story or moment of all time?
um, well, no, I have a story about one student in particular. Uh, his name was Gabriel Perez, and I had him a while back. Gabriel, I met him his sophomore year in my pre-AP chemistry class, and he was a jokester, and he wasn't really into school. He was a skater, and he just wanted to be a skater when he grew up. I think that's what he told me. He just told me he wasn't interested in school. It's not for him. He was absent all the time. But man, this kid was really bright, and I was like, Gabe, I noticed around Christmas time, I was like, Gabe, you're my top student. I said, here, try answering these questions. So I gave him a practice test. He flipped through them, and he's like, what's this? And I said, well, it's a contest. And I told him all about it. He had never heard about it. And it was around Christmas time. And I asked him if he wanted to go try a meet. He's like, yeah, I guess I'll go try it. So he went and tried a practice meet, and I don't remember what he scored, but I guess he did okay. And he really liked it. The light turned on. You know that magic moment when that you turn that light on the kid.
Beautiful.
It's great, right?
Yes, beautiful.
So he comes back the next semester, and he goes to the rest of the meets. And I don't remember what he got that sophomore year, but the following year, he was state champ in science. And then his senior year, he repeated as state champ in science.
Gabriel Perez?
Gabriel Perez.
Wow.
He ended up getting a full ride to A&M, and he studied computer engineering. And right now, before I tell you what he does right now, the funny thing is, he ended up marrying the little sister of one of his teammates. So both of these guys went to state, and then he ends up marrying his buddy's little sister. And I'm like, wow, that kid has great chance of being really good. I hope I'm around, to coach him. But anyway, I think he's writing code somewhere in San Antonio for some company doing something for insurance companies. But he's a really successful guy. He got a full ride to A&M. And here was a kid who really didn't even like school. And I think it turned his life around. So
I love those stories. I love
Yeah.
those stories, and it also talks about how UIL can really impact a kid.
For sure, for sure. You get them addicted to the competition, and they want to know, they want to know how good can I be, and then they decide to really put in the work to do it. It's a great magical thing to
Beautiful.
see it happen. Yeah.
So, as a student, as a teacher, as a coach, what do you value the most about your UIL journey?
Say, I would say that turning that light on for so many kids throughout all of these years, I've had so many wonderful kids that they're, you turn the light on to learning, and it's not so much that they're ever going to really use the chemistry maybe they learned in high school, but the fact that they enjoy learning new things, and then that carries on into everything else in their lives, and it's a beautiful thing, and it makes them more successful in whatever they do decide to do, and it just wakes them up, and seeing that light turn on is great. That's what I do. What I do.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And you have a lot of credit because, at first I wouldn't suspect La Feria of having a powerful academic team just because, it's a small little town in the valley. I didn't know that there was a lot of power there. Now, I want you, having created a team, a perennial powerhouse science team, I want you to give three groups of people some advice. First, what advice would you give a young student that comes across this interview?
Well, I would say that if you're going to try to compete, if you really want to put yourself out there and see how good you can be, don't sell yourself short. You never know how far you can go unless you actually try. And so I would say, if you're going to do something, do it with all your heart, and just work your little butt off, and never leave anything undone. If you've tried your best and you still don't succeed, you're still going to win. That's still a win
That's right.
because you tried.
Good stuff. What advice would you give for fellow coaches?
I get asked a lot about what can I do to be better? How can I get my scores up? And I just have to say, it's baby steps. It's got to be baby steps. First of all, do things for the right reason. Do it for the kids. But then you can't change everything overnight. You've got to take little positive steps, little victories, one at a time, and try to change the culture at your school a little at a time. And keep butting your head against the wall, because eventually you're going to break through, and you're going to be successful with one group. And guess what? When that happens, everybody's going to want to be a part of it. Everyone's going to be a part of it. It wasn't until that first kid that broke through that one state that more kids were eager to be part of it, because they knew that it was possible. And once you get so many baby steps accomplished, good things have to happen.
That's great. That's great. Hey, I do have a practical question. Is fundraising an issue?
I have to be honest with you, I'm blessed. I have never had to fundraise anything for anything ever. La Feria has been a wonderful fit for me. They've always funded anything I've ever asked for fully.
That's
In
a
my
district.
class,
That's a district. That's a school with the proper priorities, man. I'm so happy you said that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
well, it also helped that the story I told you about Cody, who won state. By the way, Cody ended up, he wasn't sure what he wanted to be, what he wanted to do. So he tried being an ag teacher for a while. It wasn't his thing. And then he tried a couple of things, but then he decided to become a surveyor. A surveyor, those guys that walk around with the poles and measure the dirt. And they say, okay, this is this property, this is this property. Well, Cody's a genius. This guy went from surveying to starting his own surveying company. And this company's totally taken off. Who knew how important surveying was? I guess you think you'd measure the land once and that's it. But his company's taken off, and he's a huge success.
Wow.
He ended up hiring his whole family and a lot of people here in La Feria, and his company's grown quite a bit, and he's a really successful young man. And oh, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
About fundraising?
Yeah, fundraising. What helped was this young man, the first kid to win state at our school, happened to be the school board's president at the time.
Really?
Yeah. So like the school board they were cool with me going to TMSCA. They were cool with me ordering any chemicals I want, buying me whatever I wanted. So they fully funded me. And ever since then, I guess the things have always worked out for me.
Ah. Wow,
yeah,
that helps. That helps.
Yeah, we used to host a meet, in fact, and then it's such a chore to host a practice meet, and then another school decided to host at the same time as us in Hidalgo County, and they took all the bigger schools to get to their meet, so we were left with pennies compared to what we used to make. And then I thought, why are we even fundraising? We don't have to.
Yeah.
We just do it. I don't know why we do it. We do it for fun.
Yeah.
Then we stopped hosting meets, and they funded anything we've ever asked of them.
Very nice.
So I'm pretty lucky.
Very nice. Very nice. Finally, how about parents? You got any advice for parents?
As difficult as it is for parents to be patient, your kid's not going to win every time, and he's not going to win the first time out. Your kid's not always going to win. It's just part of life. And the great thing about UIL is when you don't win, you just keep trying, and you just keep working, and maybe you will win at the last meet of the year at the highest level. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But don't think your kid's always going to get first, or that you're always going to place first, because the state of Texas is a big place. And there are nearly 200 schools in each conference. Yeah. So when you win state, you're winning out of 200 other schools. And it's not going to happen all the time for you, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to learn that everyone's going to fail. But
cool. So what does the future have in store for you?
That is a great question, my friend. My wife is retiring this year, and I'm eligible to retire, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. I have a daughter who's a freshman here at the high school, and if I stay one more year, I'll teach her at least pre-AP chemistry. And I think that's important. I'd like to teach her at least 1 year. Then after that, I might retire. I might think about it. However, my wife and I decided that after retirement, she could pick where we live, because I gave her a choice that when we got married, if we get married in West Texas, in San Angelo, which is really far away, that we could live in the valley. If we could live in the valley for 1 year, and she agreed to that, we'll get married near her hometown, then we can live over here for a year. Well, 1 year has turned into 2 years, and 2 years has turned into 3 years, and we're up to like 28. So lately she's been telling me, honey, we're about to retire. We need to move to West Texas, back with my family. So I don't know. I have a deal that I made with my wife, and I'm going to honor it, but I just don't know when that's going to happen.
All right.
I'm trying to postpone it if I can, but I don't know.
If the kids stay and have families in the valley, then that's going to change your mind. But who knows, right? Who knows what the future has in store? Who knows?
It is what it is.
It is. Fine.
And I'm great with it, because everything happens for a reason, as I told you earlier.
Good. So, Mr. Roumaldo Guerrero, any parting words or final thoughts as we conclude this interview?
I've just been very blessed. I've been very blessed that everything's worked out for me the way that I've always wanted, the way that I prayed. Not exactly the place I thought I'd be, but in the end, it's all worked out. And I'm just living the life, praising the Lord, doing great, loving what I do, and just happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know, Mr. Guerrero, I'm in Houston.
Yes.
If you ever in the neck of the woods, I hope you reach out to me, man. I know a lot of good taquerias. I know a lot of good places to go eat, man. And let me tell you something. I did the results show, and I promise you, I kept on saying La Feria Science Team, La Feria Science Team. I'm like, they got something going on over there. I need to find out, man. And Mr. Cliff McCurdy sent me your name and said, he's the guy down there in La Feria. He's the guy who's making it happen. And I'm like, man, I need to get this story, man, because I'm just so impressed when I go through these results. You know.
Well, Mr. McCurdy, go ahead.
Please do. Go ahead.
I said Cliff and I competed against each other for many, many years. Argyle was dominant. They had a dominant science team. They were really good at math. They were really good at number sense, really good at everything. They would win everything at everything. However, in science, for a good decade or so, maybe first and second place was somewhere between us and them for quite a while. And I was really honored to be mentioned in those circles. Because I was by myself. I remember meeting them at TMSEA, and we were a group of coaches, and I was like, so, hi, how are you? I introduced myself, and where are you from? I'm from Argyle. I said, oh, nice to meet you. And then I asked the next person, oh, I'm from Argyle. And I'm from Argyle. And I was like, wait a minute, there's 3 of you in science? And I thought, wow. So, yeah, they had an expert in biology, chemistry, physics for a long time. And that's hard to compete against. But they've moved up to 5A. And it was wonderful to be mentioned with those guys. It was a fun time.
Awesome.
But don't get me wrong, I'm kind of glad they moved up to 5A because they're tough.
Well, he remembers you fondly because he sent me your name, man. Because I guess he saw one of my shows where I'm saying, "Who's at La Feria, man? What's up with La Feria? They're so good at science, man." You know, occasionally I make it to the Valley. I don't know if you know Oscar Santos and Peter Fuentes, and I don't know if you know those guys, but every once in a while we get together, have a meal. I might give you a ring, see if you want to join us.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. If I'm here, most of the time when I have time off, we're driving to my in-laws, which is 7 hours away, and you know how that goes. But for sure, give me a ring, and if I'm around, I'll let you know.
All right, because I'd enjoy that, man. I enjoy the Valley coaches, Mr. Garza, you, Alanis,
Mr. Garza,
all these guys, man. That's a great group of coaches down there. That's a great group of coaches. Mr. Guerrero,
yeah, sure.
I appreciate you, man. I'm so impressed. I wish you good luck as the regional meet comes up, as the state meet comes up. Best of luck to your team. I'll be paying attention, man. Hey, I appreciate you, and farewell.
For sure, thank you.
All right, take care. Wow, what a joy it was to talk to Mr. Guerrero. He had great stories, a great perspective, and he just put off such a great positive vibe. Thank you, Mr. Guerrero. I really appreciate that. Good luck at Region and State for the upcoming Region and State meets. Let me take a quick moment and ask that if you enjoy this content, that you please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, that you leave a comment below, and you smash that like button. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and let's spread this joy, let's spread this beauty to as many people as possible. I have many wonderful things in store for this channel, and I truly appreciate your support. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Farewell.